Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Painted Arrow Podcast. I got Devin Cole here, and today we are going to be talking about episode 3 of the First Time Land Buyer series, which today's a good one.
I like it.
It's a hot one. It's about starting to be in the market.
Why don't you run us back what the first two were?
So it's a great question, and I have the answer.
That's good.
You really should, if you're listening, go back. I would say 4 episodes ago, Devin and I sit down, really flesh out like our journeys as it pertains to land and how we've kind of sacrificed in different scenarios to get ahead. And after that, we really started this series with defining your why. Episode 2 is preparing to be in the market, and then today we're going to talk about starting to be in the market.
Being in the market.
And it all compounds, obviously. Like, you want to define your why because you're obviously going to return back to that and look at that when things get difficult, because things do get difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And last week we talked again about preparing to be in the market, getting on the same page with your family, just having the communication and like setting the standard, like getting your mind wrapped around I'm doing this, getting pre-approved. We talked about that, but this week I want to start talking about like actually being in the market, what that looks like, and a lot of that. I've got a good story to go along with this, but I was going to say, like, you should get a good agent, but it's difficult to get a good agent. When I started looking at land early on, I was the guy who I would just find the listing agent and I would call the listing agent directly.
Yeah.
And I would, in my mind, I thought I had a better shot if I liked something. Like, let's say I went and, I'll give you an example of this actually happened.
Yeah.
There was a 90-acre piece. Had an old homestead on it, creek bottom deluxe, and a big buck.
I like that.
And I put an offer in on this house. And I mean, we were as close can get to like making a deal. And in my mind, I thought that if I was negotiating on my own behalf, I had a better shot because I felt like I could hear the words that the agent was saying. I could decide for myself what I thought was right and wrong. I could decide for myself what was tactful, what was, if it had good strategy, if it made sense. Like, I wanted to be the person to hear the person talk. Does that make sense? Like, cut out the middleman.
I see what you're saying.
Like, I wanted to like hear exactly the tone of the words, and like, because when you're negotiating, like,
You're saying in this case, if your agent's their agent, you get to talk to the guy.
well, I'm saying if I had an agent, a buyer's agent,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to hear the conversation between
Right.
them. I'd be hearing.
So that was your
Secondhand.
strategy of going straight to the listing agent.
Well, I was just picky more than anything. I wanted to hear it, but I also thought that if it had both sides of the deal in terms of the commission, I thought that would give me an upper leg.
Huh.
Right? You see what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah.
But what I found long term, not two agents are created equal.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And I never felt like I found an agent that could like really keep up with me. And so one day I did the same thing. I'm moving on from the 90-acre piece that didn't end up working out, but I called another piece, and the listing agent shows up. We're completely from different zip codes, but this lady, this house, I didn't really like it, but she starts asking me like, what are your criteria and what are you looking for? And And I found that this gal could really keep up. Like, she was sharp. She could talk the talk. She knew exactly what I was looking for. She was trying to help me achieve my goal. And like, she was cutting corners for me a little bit to try and like, basically, like, a lot of times I would call and say, hey, I'd like to look at this property. And it's like 2 hours away for her.
Yeah.
And I was looking at properties all over.
Yeah.
And so this girl would basically set up showings where she didn't have to be there. She was helping me out. And what I found though is in the negotiating process, having a good agent who's knowledgeable, it can make or break the deal. It really can. And so in this case, we're talking about buying land. I think it really has, like, if you're going to be buying land, you should find somebody who specializes in land.
Sure.
Sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it makes sense, though. Probably more dependent on what your why is, potentially. But yeah, I mean, I think if the land piece of it matters to you at any level, having somebody who knows land, sees a lot of land, is only a leg up.
Yeah. And I mean, whatever your why is, I think that's a good point. Like you should find somebody who caters to it.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, in this situation, this series, we're talking about land. So I'm gonna say, like, you need to find somebody who specializes in land, knows what they're talking about. And there's a lot that goes into raw land. I mean, a lot.
Oh yeah.
You can tell a lot by, just walking a piece with somebody, like, and just kind of hearing the commentary of the tree species and making comments on, neighboring parcels, and just there's a lot that goes into it. But I really think that as you start to get into the process of being in the market, you're now pre-qualified, you're now out there looking around, like finding somebody who specializes in your why is like paramount.
Big time. Yeah.
So on the heel ends of that, let's talk about like looking at properties, because I think it's really important if you have, you have your criteria, you have your filters, if you will, things that disqualify a property, like that's important to have. And I think you should stick to it. But at the same time, and we talked a little bit about this last time, but it's important to walk pieces.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think after you've clearly defined your why, maybe even think of it in two buckets, right? Like there are properties that fall into the first bucket, which means it fits all of the non-negotiables. Those are got to go look at it. But then I think bucket B might be it doesn't fit 100% of your non-negotiables, but maybe it checks most of the boxes and it's missing a thing.
Right.
I think those sort of fall into bucket B, and maybe there's less priority on getting right out there to go see it, but I think you got to go see it. Like one of the biggest lessons I learned in real estate, which is interesting because we weren't in real estate at any level when this happened, was you buying your first farm. Like we were the guys that thought we could really diagnose properties, dissect properties aerial wise, like from OnX. And you had gone and looked at a couple different ones, and you'd always send me the listing ahead of time, and we'd look at it, and we'd look at it on OnX, and we'd look at the surrounding properties, and we were like just trying to diagnose it more from a hunting standpoint. But when you went and looked at that one,
the one that I ended up buying,
the one you ended up buying, and then like hearing you talk about it and only having the OnX, as my data point, and then going out there, it couldn't have been more different.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was shocked at how different it felt relative to what I had pictured in my mind, just from what I saw on OnX. And I think you could have disqualified it.
I did disqualify it.
So you did disqualify it based on your criteria.
So,
but then you get there and it's like, okay, I didn't know. Like I disqualified it for reasons I didn't know, and this offers things I didn't know it offered. So that to my point. My point would be sometimes you got to go walk it to know whether it fits the criteria or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are things that you can assess without going out there, such as like if your criteria is, I don't want a lot of small parcels touching my parcel, I want big parcels touching it. Okay, well that you can assess and determine without going out there. But in terms of what the property looks like and what it's made up of, and does it have ag or timber, or is it open CRP, or what sort of cover does it have?
Yep.
Sometimes
And
well,
elevation as well.
elevation plays a huge part of it, and then sometimes the OnX footage or map, I mean, it could be 4, 5, 6 years old. So
We've gotten good at checking
something-
different systems now. Yeah.
well, something that could be an old fallow field, if it's had 5 or 6 years to grow up, might look a whole lot different than what Google's saying it looks like, or you know what I mean?
Can I kind of dissect that property real quick?
Sure.
So like shortly after, I just mentioned like a 90-acre piece with a homestead, and I made an offer on it. That didn't work out. Shortly after that, I mean, I had looked at probably a dozen properties.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not familiar, people, with kind of what I'm about to lay out, like this was my first farm. This was me looking to buy my first piece of land back in 2021, but it was actually in 2020 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I like you said, we got kind of good. I was working remotely, so I was looking at properties in all different zip codes all across the state of Michigan. And like you said, I called you quite often. Hey, I'm going to go look at this one.
What do we think it's going to look like?
What do we think?
Where should I focus?
Pull it up on Google Maps, pull it up on OnX, pull it up on any topo map we can get our hands on. And we were just looking at things. And that's like, I take all that kind of for granted at the time, but now I look back and I'm like really thankful. Like we truly dissected properties before we went to them, and like how much we learned, and like what we're talking about right now, like that was a huge learning point for us.
Big time. We didn't know, what that would map to, or
we didn't know we were learning.
Yeah.
We didn't even know what we were doing in my mind. Like I look back at that and I'm like really thankful that we took that much time to dissect and look and like spitball and just guess. Really, we're guessing on what we thought and
getting reps in.
It's a great way to say it. But this one, I remember it came up and it's like, I literally was like, nah. And it was like my filter was like 50 plus acres. Like that was it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It didn't take much to hit the filter. So like,
and there was a budget factor too, right?
Yeah.
So it's 50 plus acres that fits your budget. In order for that to be the case, it's probably going to, if there's a home on it, it's going to need a lot of work. It's probably in a rural spot.
I wanted to try and find something with a kind of a dumper house so I could add value, but still get a good deal. And you can get a better, like less money down because you got a home structure on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, this property came up, and I remember this was probably somewhere in the dozen, like 12 properties in. And so this one came up, and I looked at the map with you, and I was just like, it's a big field. Nah, I need more structure.
It didn't look juicy.
It just looked like it looked like there was fields all around, and this was just like a big field.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being like, no, I'm not going to look at that. And it was kind of off the beaten path. And I just kind of like swiped left.
It's a great way to say it. Like it just looked like a big field with a hedgerow.
Yeah. I mean, it was 50 plus acres of open field, quote unquote.
I just couldn't. Yeah.
And the elevation was kind of like, it was high by the road, but it all kind of dipped down. And I'm like, I don't know if I want, it just looks like a big field. And in my mind, I was thinking if you walk on the top of that ridge, any animal in that bottom is just going to look up and skylight you, and I'll have no access, and everything about it. I was just like, no. Mm-hmm. The only timber was in the way back, and it was like a half-mile walk to get into the back, and it was like 5 to 7 acres of timber. And I'm like, But it's funny how like you said, when you go, man, I wish we could tell the whole story right now, but basically there was nothing else on the market. And I'm like, I'm going to just go take a look at that. I got nothing to do on Wednesday.
Might as well officially rule it out.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm going to go take a peek at it. There's nothing else on the market. And I got a good groove at looking at places, and I kind of enjoyed it a lot. So I was like, I'd love to go see it, and I had to make a work meeting out there, and I made it all fit. And I pull up, and I'm coming down the road, listening to some country music on a dirt road. And all of a sudden, like I'm just kind of following the blue line in this beautiful farm. And I'm like,
oh, that's it.
Man, look at this. And there's a 160-inch buck right next to the house. That caught my attention.
Embedded in the CRP.
That caught my eye immediately. But I get there, and like you said, it was a CRP field. It's a tall grass. You could hear pheasants cackling everywhere. I jumped up 2 super nice bucks. The elevation was epic. Hadn't been touched in 5 to 7 years. So all these little like
cedar trees there were cedar trees everywhere.
There were cedars, but there was also a lot of box elder. I'm a big fan of box elder trees because of that farm. There was like one hedgerow going right down the cut, like right down the middle, like a hedgerow. But it was all these box elders, and on each side of it, when the wind blew, it dropped all these seeds, and all these like probably quarter size round like saplings were coming up out of the ground for like a good ways down towards this bottom, and it created this thicket. And it was gnarly, and it was where the bucks lived. It was where deer lived. And it ended up being one of the best hunting properties in the state of Michigan I've ever set foot on.
Yeah.
Shot a 160-inch buck on it. Shot 3 really, really nice bucks on it. Pheasants, turkey, the whole thing. And this little strip of woods that we were talking about on the way back, the one that I was like, man, you don't want to walk all the way back there too, actually connects to a huge swamp system. So all these deer funneled up out of that and came up into the CRP field and to go out into these bigger ag fields. So it was like this huge staging property, really. All this to say, like, you got to go put boots on the ground sometimes because it can be deceiving.
It couldn't have been more different than what we thought.
That one sticks out because it was like, it was a 0 to an absolute hero. I mean, that couldn't have been a better property in my mind.
I think too, another thing that one really taught me was what that property offered that the surrounding properties didn't. Like, we looked at it and we're like, okay, it's just a big open field of grass. But what we didn't maybe realize or focus as much on is, okay, but it's surrounded and touching big open ag everywhere. So it's like this, it was like a 70-acre bedding. Literally, it was like a 70-acre bedroom surrounded by food. Any direction you stand up to go, you can have the wind in your favor, stand up and walk to food.
Yeah.
And so I think something that's interesting to think about is, what is the property that you're looking at? What does that property offer that the surrounding properties do not?
That's a really good way to look at it. Yeah.
From a hunting standpoint, purely.
And I think everybody knows that's what we're talking about. And it's funny too, because like when you look at a property on an aerial map, like you can tell a lot usually. And it just seemed like in that specific situation, there was a little bit of us being inexperienced, but also a little bit of it being like all those things that you can't tell from an aerial. Like all those things compounded on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the perfect storm.
It really was.
Cause even the elevation on the topo, it wasn't extreme. Like, it didn't suggest.
Correct.
Like, for some reason, it was emphasized in a big way when you go out there.
Tons of bedding opportunity.
I think the elevation hit harder than I thought it would have, and it was grown up more than the aerial would have suggested. So when you look at that, it's like, yeah, okay, there is a big bottom. The house is up on a hill, and there's a big bottom right behind it. But there were so many nooks and crannies down in there. It's not like this just open
100%
situation where the deer can look right up and see you. Like, it was like a maze down and through there.
Yeah. But like the property that I just bought, like when you look at it, I could tell right when I saw it. I mean, there's a lot of times when you can look at a property on an aerial and you're like, oh yeah, or like, you mean you have some question marks on these certain spots. Like there's a house right there. Like usually you're like a good mix is kind of what I think I like a good little bit of tillable, little bit of swamp, maybe a water feature, and some hardwoods. Like that to me.
Again, I think it's like, I'm less concerned with what I want. What I want is something that's drastically different than what's immediately available on the surrounding properties.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful way to say it.
So like, if you're surrounded by really good bedding, then I want a bunch of food. if you're surrounded by a bunch of really good food, then I want the good bedding. I want something different from the surrounding touching stuff, so they have to use my property.
Yeah. And I guess it's important to talk about, and we did a little bit last week, but location.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those ones that typically is like a non-negotiable. Typically.
Yeah, I mean, geographically, like town, city, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it just sometimes if there's one that's just on the outskirts of where you're looking, I think you should still go look, because
Big bucks live on the outskirts.
well, just like the market too. I mean, like the market right now, land goes quick, you know, like
Especially around us. Like there's not a lot of
there's more demand than there is supply currently.
big time for rec ground. Whether that be over 100 acres or under 100 acres. I mean, the stuff 20 to 60 around here, like a lot of that stuff's trading hands without ever hitting the market,
Right.
because it's just so few and far between. And that's an interesting size, because more people can afford a 20 to a 40. Less people can afford a 60 to 100 or 100 to 150, something like that.
Yeah.
So you might have a little more trouble, or it might take a little longer to sell something bigger. But goodness, I mean, around us right now, anything 20 to 40 seems like it disappears quick.
Yeah.
I'll even change that to 10 to 40. I mean, any amount of ground under 40 acres seems to come and go pretty dang quick, especially if it's usable property.
Yeah. So another thing I think we should mention as you're starting to be in the market, you know, we talked last week a little bit about being pre-approved, like
Yeah.
kind of like wrapped up in this cocktail of like looking, and I kind of spelled it out, but it's like you want to be ready
To pounce.
to deal at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
It can be the difference in a deal. It has been the difference in a deal, and it will continue to be the difference in a deal, because people who are more prepared, they
Can do
know
the deal
exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you want to make it clean. You want to make it
Speed
easy,
kills.
and you want to make it.
Make it easy for the customer to do business
That's
with you.
right. But like that, I can't even explain to you how important that is, because like, it's just, you don't want to be the guy, hey, we got a really nice 40, you know, Nate, I think you should come look at it. It's everything you want. It's exactly what you and your wife want. We got to go look at it today, but I think that there's going to be a lot of interest.
Okay, let me get with my wife, see what we can afford, and then I'll get with the banker and see what we can afford from his perspective. If I can afford it, then I'll go ahead and get pre-approved, and then I'll try to get you the pre-approval letter so that we can then schedule a showing and go out and see it. And then if we like it, then maybe we can put it in an offer.
Okay, can you do that today, or can you do that tomorrow? Yeah. So it's like, oh, I got a meeting. Oh, I got my kids. Oh, I got this. It's like, no.
Check the boxes, set the stage, set the table,
Yes.
and then let's eat.
Let's eat. I really appreciate that.
I do think too, I'm a fan of getting reps in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like once you're in the market, once you've you've defined the why, you've prepared to be in the market. Like, okay, now it's time to be in the market. And so, like I said, I mean, I think you got to define your why to the best of your ability. If you're a new land buyer, there could be some flaws in your definition of your why just from lack of experience. So then you pressure test it. And to do that, you get reps in. You go start walking stuff, and then you might realize you've ill-defined what it is that you want. There's things that you would change in terms of what you really, really want. And you only gain that perspective from going and doing the thing.
It's so true.
Go walk some.
It's a great thought right there, Dev. It's so true.
Yeah.
You really do have to pressure test it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good too for the agent to like see that you're like, I'll just say like, you want to work harder for the people that show like that they're serious. The people that are lackadaisical, right? Not that we wouldn't work hard for everybody. It's just like when somebody comes to the table and is like serious, it makes you more serious. You match the seriousness.
Yeah, I mean, if you have an urgency about you, I've got an urgency about me.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like,
Yeah.
man, I want to get a deal done.
I want that guy to win.
I want everybody to win.
I want everybody to win. Yeah, I mean it's the wrong way to say it, but yeah, I mean to your point, we're intense guys, and we're gonna match your intensity.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's so true though. Like once you start walking things, it almost never happens the way that you think.
Almost never. I very much could say the same about my property, but it's a little different in that I didn't walk it and go, wow, I completely misdiagnosed this. I walked it, speed walked it. It checked most of the boxes for the house and the school district and the thing that my wife wanted. It had the ground in terms of acreage that I wanted, but in terms of what I would have said it was made up of that I wanted, it wasn't that interesting. I literally called you and was like, it's not a turnkey hunting property. It might be.
You did.
It might be good enough someday, but like, it's not real sexy.
It needs a lot of work, you said.
And my God, I couldn't have been more wrong. I mean, this is a whole different rabbit hole, but in terms of Michigan and deer habitat in Michigan, I really, and you'd think I would have known this, but I very much undervalued a good swamp system. I think it's in a way, I grew up hunting a swamp, and I didn't grow up with an opportunity to go sit a field edge and hunt a cornfield. And so like, I didn't know, I guess, how good I had it type thing. And for some reason I discounted the importance of a good swamp system in Michigan.
That's the main vein, yeah.
That's where they can go get old.
You have this thing that is true. You've always wanted to have big ag, and I'm like, Def, let me tell you, you want the gnarly thicket bottom.
Yeah. No, I don't even want big ag on my property necessarily, but I'd love if I literally shared a hedgerow with big ag on somebody else's. I'd love that.
Yeah.
But I don't. So it's okay.
Yeah. What else?
Pressure test it. Get some reps in. That's the way. I mean, to me, that's being in the market. Go look at stuff. Go look at stuff and check yourself on how you defined your why, and if you need to amend that at all. And I mean, you may find that a property offers something you didn't know. You didn't know that could have been a criteria for you, and it's like, holy cow, I hadn't pictured. Like you said, it never happens like you picture. And we're big on the vibe check too. Like sometimes you can't get a vibe from an aerial map, but when you go out there and it has these intangibles, and you're like, man, I can picture myself here. That's a thing too.
I'm big on the vibe. Like, I'm big on, does it smell the way? Does it look the way? Does it sound the way that I want it to in my mind? Because like, I daydream. I'm a thinker, and like when it comes to like where I'm gonna spend some time, like I want it to be a certain thing.
Yep.
Especially when you're spending money.
It's hard to write that down.
It's hard.
Like in terms of all encompassing. Like you just got to go out there.
Mm-hmm.
You'll know. Sometimes you get out there. You'll know.
And I guess I'll say too, like if you find one that, let's say you find one that you want to put an offer in on, be persistent. Like it's important to have a good agent, but it's also like, it's important to be persistent in the way that you present the offer. And cause sometimes things shake, like it's not always clean is what I'm saying. It's not always like, hey, we'll put in an offer and then they respond and they say yes. Like it doesn't happen that way a lot of times.
It is important to not overly fall in love with stuff head over heels.
Yeah.
Right. Like you gotta keep your emotions out of it until it's a deal. Deal's not a deal until it's a deal.
That you're like sitting there with the deed in your hand, like,
yeah.
But no, you know what I mean? Saying like like you can't get excited. I agree, but like more what I'm saying is like the deal's not always super clean. Like there's often a lot of back and
Yeah.
forth. There's often a lot of negotiating. There's often like, hey, you know, give us the weekend to think about it. Like it's not like this, hey, take this amount of money and they say yes. Like there's a more emotion involved. And it's important to
there's
just
some
kind of
hoops to
stay
jump through.
persistent with it because I mean, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen where it's maybe the third or fourth or fifth round of something that finally breaks.
Yeah, I mean, I think to that end, you can't also though let your love for something compromise your why, I guess, or what your budget is, or I mean, I just had a client that had a property that they really liked. It fit the criteria, but they had an upper, like they had a line in the sand. They had an upper limit for their budget, and we got up above that in terms of the negotiation. And they were like, "Look, we love it, but here's where we're at." And we made the sellers aware of that, and at the time they weren't willing to do the deal. And so we said, "Okay, well, we're gonna sit here for a little bit and just see what happens." And long story short, a handful of weeks went by and we ended up getting the deal done. So, staying disciplined, I think, is where I'm going to. Like, just because it's available doesn't mean you have to buy it. You know what I mean? And I think some people fall into that trap when inventory is low and demand is high. Like, as soon as something becomes available, you think you got to buy it. Like, yeah, sometimes opportunities can be few and far between, but don't compromise on some of those things just because it's available. Just because it's available doesn't mean you have to buy it. So,
I guess my last thought is too, like, this is just something that I would do. When you're in the market, when you're out looking at properties, I pay very close attention to neighbors. And
yeah, it's a huge deal.
like you want to have good relationships with your neighbors. And so if you're going down the path of like wanting to get an offer, make something happen on this, make a move on it. Like I often will encourage buyers, and if it's me personally, I would do this like hands down. I would go actually knock on the door. Hey, how you doing? My name's so and so. And oftentimes, not only will you get a good vibe on the neighbor, you'll get a little bit of intel. It's, oh yeah, Johnny used to own that, and they're selling it because XYZ. Like you'll find something out almost always, almost every time. And it doesn't hurt to ask, like, hey, what do you know about the property? How long you lived here? Do you love the area? Like that's a good one. That's a good one I've always used. You guys, how long you lived here? What do you like about living here?
Yeah.
And just be quiet and see what they say. Because they'll often tell you all the things they don't like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes. But I highly encourage people to talk to the neighbors. Like, it's not that weird, knock on somebody's door and say, hey, how are you? I'm so-and-so. We're thinking about, purchasing the property next door. What can you tell me?
Yeah.
That's totally normal.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a very normal thing. And I feel like it's not done enough. And then you buy the property and it's like, Johnny's tree stand's on my line. It's like, no. You need to do your due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
And so that to me is like, it's high. It's high on the property.
Sure.
High on the list before you buy a property. Like check that box. Talk to the neighbors, and just you want to have a good relationship with neighbors.
Got to.
You often say this, and I've been implementing it in my own household, but you can get more bees with honey.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one.
That's my mom. That's my mother. She used to say that.
I almost could have guessed that was a Michelle thing.
Yeah. You get more bees with honey.
It's true. That's a big one. That's high on the priority list for me. Talk to the neighbors. When you're in the market and you're making an offer on something, spending thousands of hundreds of dollars, talk to the neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, we've looked at stuff. I mean, even before you put an offer in, you're banging on doors just to like check out what the surrounding situation looks like, and what do you like about the area, and this, that, and the other thing. And
so this is full circle, and then this will be my closing thought.
Sure.
So there was a little piece on so we're gonna go back to the first farm I ever bought, the CRP farm with the big bucks. Okay.
Yeah.
Go back in your mind there, everybody. there was a little strip of railway.
Yep.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like on the topo maps on the GIS, the little strip that was in railway. It was confusing on like who actually owned it.
Yeah.
And so I was worried that I wouldn't be able to access the back half of the property.
Yep.
If that wasn't like owned by the new, by the person I was buying it from.
Yeah.
Me, soon to be me. And so I went and knocked on all the neighbors' doors. Hey, I'm looking at the property next door. I see this little strip here, pulled up the map. What do you know about that? I talked to 3 of the neighbors, and they all said the same thing. And it confirmed my worry / suspicion. But it gave me peace, is what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
Everybody's on the same page. Everybody had the same answer. Like, that used to be so-and-so's, but then it got deeded in and da-da-da-da-da. Like, you can find out so much from talking to the neighbors.
Yeah.
It often give you peace of mind. Like, you might have your suspicions. You look at this old, box blind on the property line. You go knock on the guy's door, and he's a sweetheart. I just like to go out there once or twice a year. And, sometimes my grandson comes out and hunts it. Like, that's great. That's the kind of neighbor you want to have.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll get off my high horse about talking to your neighbors, but I think it's important.
Yeah. I think that's a good closing thought.
What about you? What's your closing thought? Being in the market.
Just getting reps in. Go look at stuff. Figure out what it is you really want. That's my closing thought.
It's beautiful. All right, guys. This is episode 3 of the First Time Land Buyer series. We're hopefully you're enjoying it. I think we're enjoying talking about it.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully you're gleaning something from just our conversation, and we want to see you guys, whether it's whatever your goal is, we want to help you get there. So reach out to us. Let us know what it is your goal is. How can we help you? Is there something that we can talk about? Is there something that experience that you've had that just let us know. We'd be very curious as it pertains to buying and selling property. So you can do that. You go to paintedarrow.com and you can just hit the contact button. Send us a note.
That's right.
We'll read it. Okay, people. Catch us next week. And I think we're going to be on the tail end of this series, but we have more important things to talk about, like what happens when you make an offer, what that looks like, what to be cautious and wary of, and how to get a deal done. So we will catch you next week. Enjoy.
See ya.